Hi, everyone. Danielle here from Peas, Love, and Carrots, back on Peas. What's it called? Peas in a Podcast, Season 2, Episode 1. We are off to such a good start. Couldn't even get the name right.
No clue.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's Thursday. I've been through that already. I'm sealed in. Welcome back, everybody, to our first episode of Season 2, Peas in a Podcast. First things first, we have a brand new co-host because Ellie is off for the summer. He's allowed on vacation. Our brand new co-host is Dum Dum Dum.
Mimic Light Mom!
Mimic could not be happier to be here, right?
Yes, the pay is great.
Is it?
Well,
there's no pay.
I have Elisheva right next to me. I'm happy.
Raise your hands if your name is Elisheva. My mother's actually
squared.
Yeah, Elisheva squared.
That's
exactly.
so cute.
That's adorable. We need to get you like an equation like that. That's cute. So Mim is really happy to be here. She's going to be our co-host for this season, which actually feels a little bit more appropriate because we are having like a lot of female guests, things like that. And I think Ellie was like wanted to take a step back out of that. So that's okay. Our first guest is actually somebody I really like. We only got to know each other through Instagram. I think even before you had an Instagram account, right?
Yeah.
We were like talking and chatting. And,
right, exactly.
She's very insightful, always has something very insightful to say.
As insightful people do.
That really is the best word for it. And I'm really happy to have her here. We have Shevi Samet from It's a Learning Life.
Hello.
And we have Arya Samet.
We do have, yes.
Who's super cute.
They don't know him.
How old is he?
He's almost 2.
And he's gorgeous and adorable. Blee Einhard.
They'll have to take your word for it.
And he's also behaved.
And she's from Montreal.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so we like her.
Oui.
Okay, bien sûr. Should we just do the podcast in French?
Oh my gosh, how hilarious would that be if we did a French podcast? Like all in French.
Oh, your mother's eyes just lit up.
Lit up. The thing is that when she speaks French, it's peppered with Arabic.
Oh.
It is not.
It is a lot of times. When you get very passionate,
I get out.
You can't.
I throw Arabic stuff in there.
When you get very excited, then
AKA,
it's like in different levels.
So I'll translate.
You'll
then it'll be like double the length of the podcast.
What's the big deal?
All right. Let's move on.
Something to think about.
Exactly. We're going to shelf that idea for right now. We can revisit it at never. Okay. Basically, today's podcast. Well, I guess just to give a little bit of a brief explanation of this season, I wanted to keep it light and airy and like fun banter and something for you to listen at and almost like escape for a little bit and just like come into this world and drive in a car and have something pleasurable and nice to listen to. But I did want to have a little bit more of what I'm calling intentional conversation, like speaking about a topic in a light, not very intense, weigh you down way, not looking to, inspire or grow or change the world, but just a topic that's on my mind where if you can take a little nugget of something away from it and apply to your life, that would be wonderful for me personally and maybe for all of you. And still with, laughing, nice, enjoyable.
And even at my age, I can still learn stuff.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I have plenty to teach you, Mom.
Life.
Yeah. That was an excellent plug. My brother would really appreciate that.
We try to give it subtle.
Okay, we appreciate that over here. So I think that's like the goal of these podcasts and whatever. I'm happy you're all here. Today's conversation is actually something I really want to talk about. I'm not an expert. You seem like an expert.
No. I'm very good at pretending to know a lot of things.
No, but the thing is that I think both of us have experience.
Right.
Not fully, but I think both of us are growthful and know that we don't know everything.
We have I have a lot of mistakes.
Me also.
In my past. So between all of our mistakes,
hopefully we can learn ton of mistakes.
Oh, what are you talking about?
I'm kidding. Mim doesn't have any mistakes. She is an excellent mother. Baruch Hashem.
Not always.
Basically what I want to talk about today is a topic that I personally think a lot. Actually, probably every day it occurs to me. And it's basically how to balance teaching your children values, specifically religious values, because my values and Torah values are one and the same. Like I can't really separate them.
Same.
Right. However, like if you're not I think no matter where you come from, the Torah values are so morally just and right that this can apply to you whatever culture or whatever you ascribe to. The Torah's moral laws can only guide you in a really positive way.
Yeah.
So it is difficult, though, for me personally. I always think about like how to balance, teaching them Torah values and instilling values that I've because I grew up more modern. I was able to choose these values, right? And I was able.
Oh, me too.
Also you.
But I don't think that you would have. The values both of you received is because of one, your environment also, and you did have you did have Torah in your home, not as much as you are giving your kids.
Well, I would say that it's also a different, meaning the fundamental core was for sure Torah and how I and how I grew up is still such a heavy influence on how I raise my kids and how I structure my home. I think maybe just in terms of the practical application,
halacha.
Right? Exactly. Or different emphasis on certain things or de-emphasis on certain things. But yeah, definitely fundamentally.
Totally. And even minhagim, we grew up, even all those things though make up a home, right? Halacha, ethics, morality, tradition, minhagim. And how do we instill that upon our children and teach them when oftentimes we came to them on our own?
Right.
And how do we pass on? Because obviously I chose to live my life this way because I believe this is the right way to live my life. I mean, I'm still learning and growing and adjusting and hopefully, bettering myself every single day. But if I believe this is right, so then I also believe it's right for my kids, right?
100%.
Right. So but I don't, but I made those choices at some point. As a teenager, you go through whatever you go through and you decide to keep what your parents gave you or to change what your parents gave you or to add to what your parents gave you.
I like that the best, to add.
Yeah. No, 100%.
I like that.
Of course. But some of my minhagim changed. You're Moroccan. Ellie's not Moroccan. Some things did change. Yeah. That's the reality. Not in a negative change.
Well,
in a shift because of where you live or where you are.
Or I have so many more chumras now. Rabbeinu Tam, or 6 hours, Chalav Yisrael, all these things. I did not. No gebrachs on Pesach. I mean, my father was Mekach Taz, this is over. But so many things actually practically in my daily life did change, with marriage, which I think is regardless of observance.
How do we add the things that we've chosen or that we do, whether we've chosen or not, really, that's not the point. How do we pass those on to our children and teach them those values without drowning them or suffocating them or forcing them upon them and showing them in a beautiful way? Because my personal, I would say, biggest gripe with the education system or the world today is that I see from my own children sometimes they come home from school and tell me things their teacher said or a Rebbe said or a friend said, and I'm like, it feels so harsh.
Right.
I wish that person didn't say that to you because I wanted to say it in a different way. Not in a, sometimes the harshness is necessary and that's okay. Sure. But sometimes it feels like I want you to love what you're doing. I want you to love the mitzvos and love the Torah and love the minhagim and the halachos the way I do because they're beautiful.
I think also sometimes we're afraid for our children to know that different things in life, specifically observance, if you're observant, is a choice.
Right.
We want to present it like a done deal. And I actually had an encounter, one of my kids had a conversation with their cousin, and their cousin mentioned doing something that we don't do in our family. And he came to me and he's like, so-and-so told me that she does this. And I'm like, yeah, she does that, Yeah. And he was like, wait, you can choose? And it was this moment of
oh my
I'm
gosh.
Paralyzed, because the truth is, yes, you can make a choice. Right. I also want to kind of heavily imply that there's a quote unquote right choice, a better choice. Right. And I just choose to frame it in terms of Torah values, the Torah choice, the choice that we make in our family, is this. But I do think it's important that they know that, we do all have a Yetzer Hara. We do all have a choice on some level.
So tell me what you think about this. I'm always afraid to connect those decisions to the Torah because I don't want them to feel like if they don't choose that choice, then they're negating the Torah, right? I don't want it to be that Like,
no,
well,
so I think
like,
there's a difference between
sex.
something like, okay, no. So
Let's
this was
say
actually let's say like a
halacha.
yes or a no halacha
okay,
thing.
fine.
Yeah, no, something that definitely is in that realm of like in different communities, people
So
do
halacha
different
to me
things.
feels easier. Like when we're in the supermarket, if my
Yeah.
kid picks up, let's say in America, a packet of Skittles, and I say like it's not kosher, literally put it down.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Because
exactly.
I'm so clear and confident in my mind that like they don't even question
So it was
it.
actually in that realm. They were like, but that's not kosher.
Right.
Are you allowed to not keep kosher? I'm like, there's a difference between are you allowed, and the way he phrased it at the time was like, wait, you can choose?
Right. It's very hard.
It's like, well, you know how everybody has a choice to do like the right thing. And the thing is, it also gets really tricky because I don't want it to any way compromise their relationship with those people who are close to them and their family members.
Right.
And I don't want it to be like a source of judgment. You know, like, oh, you like, well, now if that person makes a choice that in your head is wrong, you can now judge that person as, you know.
Do you ever feel judgment? Because you like, right, like you're different hashkafically than us, right?
I hate judging.
Oh yeah, judging should like be gone.
I'm gonna tell you, you know, now that
can I just tell you a quote that somebody told me you're gonna love? Judgment is a mirror, not a window.
Yes.
Is that amazing?
That was
Yes.
good.
So like when you look at somebody and you're judging them, you're seeing something in yourself
That's
that is
right.
like you don't like about yourself.
You're right. But
amazing?
I love that.
you know, having raised 3 children and being, I guess, Balchuvas, Mark, my husband and I, but choosing to raise our children going to yeshiva and in a kosher home and Shabbos and all. You know, did they stray here and there at times in their lives? Absolutely. Right. But there's one thing that was always consistent in our homes: Torah, Sfarim, Rebbeim, rabbis.
So far, you named 3, not 1.
Well, it's all included.
She's the rocket.
Right.
Is math like a not a strong point in the
and
whole
the most, I think that the most important thing that I gave my children, and they are definitely coming back.
Face while you're talking about this, the passion
is traditions. And yes, everyone has their own traditions. Right. Danielle has her traditions. Ellie, her husband, has his traditions.
Well, our
but
traditions are the same now.
But the most beautiful thing is that these 2 wonderful Jewish children married and are creating their traditions. So if we remove the word religion from our vocabularies, then maybe people would have more respect for one another.
Not religion, like let's say fromness or
well, I think that a lot of times
it could be but any religion.
The labels.
Right.
It's not even
a label.
Well, I think we have this like all or nothing mentality, and that's not like a Jewish concept.
I've been telling this to people. Okay, no, really. And when you look at someone's face,
I think you're having a discussion with Mimi. She's like, wow, you're like social experimenting on people.
I am, of course.
Oh, okay.
Because of you, really, because your influence on people.
Does Dad know about the social experiment?
Sure, yes,
the experiment?
No, but he knows about it.
I can't wait to see the study when it's published.
Okay, wait, no. So I ask people.
You ask? Yeah. I'm so nervous.
I believe religion should be out of the dictionaries. That word is an ugly word.
It's a triggering word.
I can't stand the word.
Okay.
Because right away,
I actually tried to think if there's a Hebrew word for religion, and I don't think there is.
That you see how smart? Okay,
yeah, because the word is like dot, like
no,
dot, but it's not.
No, when you mention the word, when you mention the word religion,
right,
people's faces are serious. Yeah. When you mention the word traditions, there's a smile because immediately every person is thinking of their tradition.
Right.
And so if we just looked at everyone and accepted everyone's traditions, I think everybody would like each other a little bit more.
Okay.
And be more respectful.
That was it. We can wrap up this episode now.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right, though. I think that, I don't know if, like, the terminology is, like, but
Well, I'm not so smart.
No,
so
you were very smart. What you
smart.
said was very smart. Just that was very true. Like the labels is what gets us down. Like it sucks us up because once you are a label, then there's almost like this invisible pressure to conform to the label that you ascribe to, right? So like if you tell yourself I'm modern Orthodox and then one day you decide, you know what, today, forget tomorrow, today I don't feel comfortable. I don't want to get in trouble here. So like I'm picking something very obscure. Today I want to cover my hair, which I'm sure plenty of modern Orthodox women do. This is just like we grew up modern Orthodox and you don't cover your hair. So this is
but
like
I
where
did
that
for
example.
a while.
Right. No, so today I want to cover my hair. But then you go to a place and you're modern Orthodox and you tell yourself, wait, I'm modern Orthodox. I don't need to cover my hair. I don't want to. But like if that label didn't exist and you could just every day grow the way you wanted to grow at your own pace, you wouldn't be bogged down by the label.
That's really like to the best of my knowledge, like that's like a vibe that I get a lot from like my friends who are Chabad.
Yes.
This very like, you know, like what, like how are you feeling today? How are you feeling at this stage in your life? Like what more can you know, how can you connect better?
So is there a pitfall in that?
I mean, I don't want to get in trouble.
No,
I think it depends on the person. For me, I don't think like I'm
talking about
structured.
This yesterday. I love this word, complacency.
Oh yes, the complacency. Like I think that it is. I think it is a risky. Like I think you like you know. I think if you're constantly motivated by like a growth mindset, if you're constantly engaged in it, then I think that's great. But I think you know that we can sometimes get a little bit complacent and a little bit like, oh, you know, well today I'm not feeling it, or today, you know, and then it's like, well, is that laziness or is that like you actually like need to like stop and just like kind of
well, you want to do bli neder.
Yes, you should say bli neder all the time.
No, you do. I mean, you want to do bli neder if you're taking on a new mitzvah. Right. Basically, is what you're doing.
Well, I think I think we have to like separate the two things because there's one thing where it's like accepting who you are today. And while you're accepting who you are today, which you should, because we should love ourselves, because Hashem loves us today, and He loved me yesterday, and He's going to love me tomorrow, and every day, hopefully, I'm getting better and better. So there's no reason for me not to love myself today if Hashem can love me today. Right. I do want to grow as a person, though. So I think that's where the discrepancy can come is like, well, if I love myself today, then why do I need to grow? Like, don't I love who I am? But you can also I love who I, like, this is what I talk about a lot is like these multiple feelings that nobody teaches you when you're children. Like, there is no such thing as happy or sad, you know, like tired or fully awake or angry or not upset. Like
this is why I hate Instagram polls when people are like, "Are you a morning person or a night person?" I'm like, sometimes I'm not. Make me choose things. Milk shakes, play shakes, it depends. I'm very happy. You know, like
you can be a million things at once. Like you can feel really, really loving of who you are, and you can feel like there are areas I want to grow.
I think I what I call that is like the difference between, well, not the difference, but acceptance versus like approval.
Yes,
you know. That's so I like, let's say even with with my children, I am going to accept them for who they are unconditionally. But that doesn't mean
Meme just gave a thumbs up.
Wow, I got a thumbs up from Meme.
Yeah, that was like very major. Good. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that all of that none of their choices will induce won't induce disappointment. Right. That doesn't mean that I'm gonna like throughout their life look at every choice they make and say, I approve. And that's a hard thing, I think, as a parent to kind of confront because we are, I don't think when we parent from a place of control, number one, that it's effective, but that I really think that compromises like our connection and it compromises our ability to really transmit those values to our children.
Right.
So the way I like to think about it, I think I mentioned something like this, I don't remember if it was last week or earlier. I don't have a concept.
It doesn't matter.
But I really doesn't matter. Whatever. Scroll down. No, it's not even in a post.
The one that was subtle one number 2. You're really doing
it. Keep calling me out.
It's amazing. I appreciate it.
No, this idea of like, oh no, it was 2 days ago. fostering the kind of environment that will allow your children to make the best possible choice for them, as opposed to like pushing them or prodding them in a certain direction or like schlepping them somewhere. You know, like Revolba has this, he compares it to a plant, right? He has this concept in parenting of planting and building and tefillah, and those are the components of parenting. And when it comes to planting, if you look at a plant and you say, oh, this plant is not thriving, right? You don't schlep the plant. I want the plant to grow more. I'm going to tug at the plant. You're just going to uproot the plant. You have to, check the soil. Is this the right environment for it? Does it need more sun,
you
more
have to
rain,
love
or whatever it is? You have to love it, right? And you focus more on the environment, and then the plant can do its thing. So when it comes to, I think,
setting things up,
setting things up. So when we talk about, how to instill our religious values specifically in our children, I think obviously modeling is huge. You can't say
a lot of people wrote that in, lead by example. Which personally I think is the most difficult thing. I have a sign on my door. It's been in my house. It was in my old house even. So it's probably about like 9 years old. I ripped it out of a magazine. You know what I'm talking about? On the back of my front door. So like every time I walk out of the house, I see it. And it's a quote, and it says, just as your children will copy you in something, so too they will copy in what you say, so too they will copy your actions.
Right.
And it's true. They mirror you. And as you get older, like as your children get older, it does get scarier and scarier.
Oh, it's so scary. Oh my goodness.
Like you think you're getting away with stuff, and you are not.
No, I just heard one of my kids this morning say to another one of my kids, like, and it sounded so harsh, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I say that all the time. That's where he heard it from, and he's like saying it to his sibling.
I know.
In the context of like, I'm like, okay, we're going to cross that one out.
I know.
I know. It's like a baby bird. A baby bird, the mother nurtures.
Right.
But then she pushes the baby bird to learn to fly on its own.
Right.
And you know what? That bird is going to fall a bunch of times until it gets... Well, it might. You know, a bunch of times, a little bit.
Right. It will be shaky at first.
It will be shaky at first.
Right.
But the bird is going to fly all on its own.
Right.
And the mother will have given that bird everything to help that bird grow.
Right.
So that can only happen if the mother bird recognizes that her baby is not an extension of her.
Right.
She's her own. That bird is its own bird. So I can facilitate, but I can't.
I think that's where the expression, you have to let children or really teenagers spread their wings a little bit.
Right.
They need to experience things for themselves. I think the biggest thing for me is that, let's say like I have a current, I'll just put it out there, a current technical difficulty where, Leia Bela goes to a school. I actually asked her if I could speak about this today, so she knows. Where, she has to wear knee socks. And she's in a camp where that's not the rule. Obviously, I didn't realize that going in because, I just like to keep things consistent. It doesn't matter whether that's my hashkafa or not. That's not the point. The point is it's the rule of the school she's in. We sign a takanon. Takanon in English is a... I literally have no idea how to say it in English. It's basically like a document that you sign stating all the rules and that you're going to adhere to the rules.
That you're going to comply with these rules.
Sort of a contract.
Yeah. And so we sign the takanon. She signs the takanon. We give it in. She has to wear knee socks. Now she's in this camp and nobody wears knee socks her age. And is it the biggest deal in the world? No. We're talking about knee socks. Is it something I'm going to fight about? No.
Right.
Is it something I think that she actually cares about? No. She doesn't mind wearing knee socks at all, right? She wears knee socks every day. She wears tights every day, no complaints. But now that she's seeing it, it's becoming a little bit of a, well, do I have to wear knee socks today? Which obviously I could have avoided this issue had I sent her to a camp that was in line with the school she was in.
Because the contract is like not just to school, this is outside of school also. Okay.
So, the first day I said to her, I'm like, well, like we did make a commitment to the school that you're in and it's important to stay true to your word and, be consistent with who you are. But it is something that's very hard for her because she's a child. And I personally am struggling. Like I have led by example. My legs are always covered. I wear stockings. I personally don't wear leggings with socks with a little, like no part of my leg is not covered. Right. So that is all she's seen. And I have led by example, but still I'm dealt with a little bit of it's not an issue because Baruch Hashem, this should be, the hardest thing she ever, Bezrat Hashem should be the hardest thing she ever goes through. But it is difficult. Like, how do I approach this situation? Because I don't want to turn her off from covering her legs because it's not something she minds doing. But now all of a sudden she's around it. And honestly, I don't have a solution to tell you all. Like, I am struggling with this right now. I don't have a solution.
I don't know that, I mean, you brought it up to her.
Right, I did.
And this is...
Well, she brought it up to me.
Okay, but this is a time where it's very hot. It's summertime. Wearing these socks.
No, but it's also going to be very hot in summertime next year. And the year after.
But she understands that. And she would never go back to Israel, to her school, or even to her everyday life in Israel.
I don't know. You don't take a vacation from your values, though.
You don't take a vacation from your values.
Here isn't necessarily the dress code. The value here is honesty and consistency, and you made a commitment and you promised, and you have to.
But then again, she's 8, right? So like
I would not make a big deal.
I don't make a big deal, and I say nothing. And actually, one day she did leave the house with short socks, and I said nothing.
Right.
She came home and she said to me, she was like, "I snuck out. I left the house with short socks," and I just said to her, "I'm like, you don't have to sneak out. I'm not gonna." You're not going to be in trouble for this.
Right.
I said, I understand it's something you're struggling with right now. I actually am also struggling with telling you what to do.
Right.
I don't know what the right thing to do is. I always think the right thing to do is to stand by your word, but I'm an adult, and that's very easy for me to say. I understand when you're 8 how hard that could be.
Right.
And I kind of threw it back on her, which is unfair. Right?
Because there's the peer pressure component also,
Right, she's 8 and she's looking for guidance, and I don't really have the right guidance to give her. That's the truth.
But I think that's also a really important lesson to be like, I have absolutely no idea.
Right, that's the approach I took. I just was honest with her because, that's just the best policy. Is that sometimes we're put in positions with our children and we don't have all the answers.
Right.
And, that's why I didn't want to bring a chinuch, an educational, a mumcha on here to discuss these things because we're not all experts and yet we're all parents.
But maybe it's okay that she basically spread her wing a little bit. She wanted to see what it
you
felt
have ulterior motives.
No, I do not.
Okay, Mom, but that's because that value of not wearing knee socks is in line with your value.
No. It doesn't matter what. But I'm going to tell you one thing. I think that what's very important is for the children to remember to be very respectful of where they are, who they're with, and their actions at all times.
No, of course. But that's not she's not going there and not wearing anything at all. She's doing more than the...
she wanted to try not, wearing short socks and not sweating in knee socks. It's okay.
Oh my gosh, Mom.
What?
your thoughts have become apparently very clear.
Leah Bela, I love you.
She knows. She's not listening. It's fine.
I mean, yeah, and I think even that I love that she came. I love that she came home and she was and she told you what happened.
Right.
I always love that. That happened with one of my kids. I'm going to make myself sound like a really good mother right now. Okay. This is a different kind of plug. Okay. But one of my kids actually got into trouble in school, and I can't get it out, sweetheart.
It doesn't come out. It's attached.
Play with blocks.
Give it to me. Give it to me.
Then I will do it. And he actually got into trouble in school. Nothing dangerous regular, and the teacher actually said to his Rebbe said to him, you have a choice. Either you can get whatever consequence in school, or I'll call your father. Okay, those were the choices. He must have been 6 or 7 at the time, and he said, well, I'm going to tell my father anyway, so can you can just call my father and I won't miss recess or whatever it was. And that was such a proud moment for me that awesome. I mean, sometimes I wonder my kids are really forthcoming with all of the trouble. Can you be a little more nervous about my reaction? But the truth is that that I think that's so important, that they know that they can always that their mistakes don't compromise or not. I shouldn't even say mistakes. It's not, but that they're confusion or they're not sure or whatever it is, or any kind of discomfort that they feel, that's not. they shouldn't be afraid to share that with us.
Right.
And, and that there's no, we don't have these absolutes, that one day you can do this and one day you can do that. And we're constantly making choices. And, yeah.
So I think part of what I'm hearing, and even hearing myself say everything, the clarity that I'm getting from all this is that I think that we need to, like what you said, be very accepting, show our children that we're very accepting of them, but we really need to create a very comfortable environment for our children. Yeah. And part of creating a comfortable environment means letting your children sort of weave in and out of all of these values that we set up to so that they can be happy in the values we've set up.
Right.
They don't know that they're happy because this is all they know. So they do have to weave in and out of that lane a little bit so that they can come back to that lane. And when they weave out, we need to be extremely accepting and loving of them so that when they come back, they can feel comfortable to come back if they want to our lane, whatever that value is, whatever that is in that lane at that time, right?
Right, because we don't want them to look at, let's say, our home or our community or our lifestyle and say, I don't see myself here.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you a short story. Danielle was, I think, 15 or 16 years old.
I don't even know what you're saying. Can you stop?
No. And it was a very big lesson.
I don't think you understand the co-host position. I don't think you understand the co-host position.
Who wants to hear it?
No, you can't see anybody, so it doesn't matter. Don't put Chevy on the spot like that.
No.
They all. It's literally just me.
You're
and
going to be
Chevy
so
right
proud.
Oh,
it's kind of like when I spoke with Terry Turner. You're going to be so proud. So Danielle was about 16 years old, and we had an argument, a disagreement.
Did we now?
And
that never happened.
And I will never forget. I look up at the balcony because she was standing by her room, and I said, "You know what, Danielle? There's no book on how to raise teenagers."
I actually remember that.
There's no book, and I'm sorry, Dr. Spock did not go up to teenage years.
I don't know that we can really rely on his infancy either, but okay.
And Danielle slammed the door to her room.
I would never do that.
Well, there's no book on being a teenager. So.
A second later, she opens the door, looks down, and she says, "And there is a book, Mom, and it's called the Torah." And you know what? I get the chills when I say this because I think it was the greatest lesson I ever learned.
But can I tell you something that's so interesting?
About understanding teenagers.
But see, here's the thing. Even though we have parameters in the Torah, I always remind, in any context, students, whoever it is, and it comes up a lot in marriage, but in parenting also, that we have broad parameters, but when it comes to parenting, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to marriage, beyond certain parameters, we really don't have a how-to guidebook. When it comes to keeping Shabbos, we don't hold back.
No,
we do what to do.
We do have a how-to guidebook, though, on relationships, I think, and with your children.
But even that, meaning, there's no, your teenager slams the door, this is the halachic response.
No, but if we were really, 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 v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha,
100%. No, that's what I mean.
We wouldn't have... You have to love your neighbor like you love yourself. Rabbi Akiva.
Right.
If we really, really embodied
that's a parameter. But how do you apply that in this particular situation?
Right. So the problem is that we're not really living the Ahavta l'reacha kamocha to the fullest extent that we should. So therefore, we have teenagers slamming doors in our face. Yitzchak didn't slam the door in Avram Avinu's face. You know what I mean?
We hope not.
And
Yishmael for sure did.
No, Yishmael probably did. Yeah, no. But I'm saying Yitzchak didn't, and he tried to put him on the Akedah and sacrifice him, and he still loved him.
My point is that, let's say, all halacha is really, sourced in a fundamental principle.
Right.
And because we don't have the ability to synthesize that principle into behavior on our own, so we have halacha.
Right.
Right? We have a spiritual reason for why we have Shabbos in terms of how it affects our relationship with Hashem. And now we have all of these halachos of how to do it. When it comes to something when it comes to relationships, the parameters really are very broad. We don't have this is the correct response. This is if you want to get your child to X,
but that's because we're starting at negative already. Do you know what I mean? Because we're not if we treated our children the way Hashem treated us, right? And we had rachamim the way we were supposed to have rachamim, and we had Yirah Shamayim the way we were supposed to, and we were v'ahavta l'recha kamocha and accepting of everybody, we wouldn't get into these kinds of situations where we're running into issues. But because we're starting at negative, then therefore we don't have a handbook. But the Torah does give us guidelines of how to parent, but we just can't follow it in our generation.
My point is that like the application of it is going to be different in every specific relationship. The same way, even like between children, or even at different times, right?
No, totally.
Like the way I applied this in the past, I'm not applying it today.
Are you an oldest child?
I'm a middle. I'm such a classic middle. I know. I know. It's really scary.
No, but I'm the oldest,
and the only girl, and the princess.
Okay, Mom. Okay,
I'm the middle, and I'm not the only girl.
Well, my mother's the youngest and also not the only girl.
I'm the baby.
And I see even with like Yechezkel Meir, like the oldest is definitely a guinea pig.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And like you do get better as a parent as you go on, hopefully. Because
if you're paying attention,
you get more confidence. And the truth is, you care less about like silly little things that you
also
think
care less about. I think what other
oldest.
people think. Hopefully, like I remember I used to be
totally.
like very, if like my oldest would have like not that he would ever gone forbid to be you're perfect, but if anything, I would be like concerned about how is this going to reflect on me? People are going to see that my child is not keeping it together because he's 3 or whatever, and now I'm like, it's okay. We're almost done.
You become a more confident parent.
Exactly.
It's true. Like, so confidence definitely plays a big part in it. But I think like just to get back to how we do instill religious values in our children without suffocating them. Leading by example is really important, but even if you do lead by example, I think like the imagery of cars driving in a lane on a highway, very, very straight. So let's say those cars that are driving in a straight line, those are your values, right? We are in that lane because this is the life we've chosen. Whether you're pick and choosing halachas, whether you're pick and choosing values, whatever it is, that's your lane that you created and you are driving in that lane. And then your children will weave in and out of traffic, back into your lane, back and forth. They come out, they come back in, out in. Sometimes they go far out, sometimes they come and then they come all the way back in. Sometimes they go a little bit out, then a little bit more out, but then they come back in. And I think the main thing is that when you're driving in that lane and your children are weaving in and out, you need to love and accept them when they're out of that lane, because that will allow them and give them the space to want to come back into your lane.
And then you have to let them cut you off.
You don't have to accept that their move on the lane.
No, you don't have to approve of every decision.
You don't have to approve, but you do have to accept.
We have to accept
you don't have to approve.
Right.
And always keep your values.
Of course. Be consistent.
Be consistent. And home is everything.
Home is safe.
It's like home base. It's the safe haven.
I can't get rid of any of you. Home is everything, really.
No, it's true. But I think like that's the main thing is just like no matter how far they weave out and how many times they weave in and out, no matter what age they are, you really do have to create a very comfortable, accepting environment so that your children can weave in and out, so that they can also come to a place where they feel like they've chosen your values or those values are right for them. And it's very likely that not all of your children will choose exactly the values that you choose, because they are independent people, and one day they'll be the ones having this podcast and talking about all the values that we didn't instill. That's just the reality, and that's life. But hopefully, I know for me with my children, my biggest hope is that, Bezrat Hashem, Mashiach will come in my time. And if Chas v'Shalom it doesn't, that their generation will be the generation to bring Mashiach. Or so of course I want them to do better than me. And if that means experiencing things a little differently than I have in mind for them, then that's how it has to be. And I need to love and accept that process.
Right. And that's why Chabad probably growing,
and it's a learning one.
But I think Chabad, if it's not the largest, but it's growing into
because it's a very largest place. Yeah.
Traditional.
You know where the first shluchim went to, Mom? Where the Rebbe
Morocco.
Yeah.
Because Morocco is an accepting,
because the
Morocco being
the Rebbe and the Baba Sali were very close.
Wow.
Morocco, Morocco, my mishpacha. Morocco and has always taught, the king of Morocco back centuries has always taught its people in this country, we are all Moroccan.
I don't even know where that came from. Like, where did that come from?
Tolerance and acceptance.
Tolerance and acceptance.
Yes.
Okay,
Tolerance and acceptance.
Fine.
And what is Chabad all about?
Right.
Tolerance and acceptance.
And yet the Chabad children,
the state
Chabad.
The state of our generation is that, like, if we don't accept each other and love each other, we're doomed. Like, we are just like, we're too far gone for anything besides love and acceptance at this point. We do not have room for, like, my way or the highway anymore.
Ruchi Koval calls this radical acceptance.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh,
it's
I
like,
love that.
I love
That's
it.
an amazing term.
You should follow her too.
No, that is an incredible term. Like, that is where we're at. Like, our situation is so dire that we
it's
have
not like
nothing
I
left.
accept, but
No. There's no room for that anymore.
Just end it there.
But I think that about everything negative. Like, we literally cannot shine a light on anything that we perceive to be negative or wrong or anti or anything, because A, all it does is, like, give legitimacy to that negativity or wrongdoing or whatever. And B, it just breeds more of it. Like, we see it. Like, all we can do is make everything that good in this world feel really cool and awesome. Like, that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Because it is cool and awesome to be a good person and be kind and loving and have values, and hopefully we can pass that on to our kids.
Right. Davening for your children.
Oh, yeah.
And having your husband.
We didn't even touch upon
And your husband.
Yeah.
Davening for your children when he goes to shul.
Yeah.
That's...
No, 100%. Well, I think that also goes back to this point of, like, we cannot control our children.
Right.
We can really just create the environment that facilitates their growth, and knowing that, like, yes, well, we all have hopes and dreams for our children, but, like, and that can motivate our tefillah, but at the end of the day, it's not for us to decide.
I think it's really cool. I probably, everybody can think of somebody they know like this. When you find a woman who has a few daughters, I'm thinking of one in my head that I know, and her daughters are older. They're all married, Baruch Hashem, and she has 4 daughters that went to 4 different high schools. And they're all hashkafically a little bit different.
Yeah.
Not exactly like the parents. And she is an amazing woman. And I look at her, and somebody could look at one of her daughters and say, okay, but she does this, but she does this. Back to that, like, judgment thing, which is just, we need to throw that out. But when you look at the whole picture of this mother and her 4 daughters, who she sent to 4 different high schools, which, by the way, is difficult. It's annoying. 4 different places to go, 4 different parent-teacher conferences.
PTA. I know, I'm like, right to PTA.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah, you really have to be committed to make that decision. And you look at her picture and you see, wow, this woman, like, chinuch al pi darko, like, she taught her children according to each one. They are all from in different ways.
And it's really hard because not every community is easy to do. And in certain communities, like, let's say even where schools are hard, it's kind of like, well, when one daughter or one son goes to school, they just kind of follow. I find this to be harder with girls than with boys.
Another word that should come out of the Hebrew dictionary, hashkafa.
Well, we know we're mimics. Yeah. No, I think everybody can picture a woman like that had the courage to do something like that, and to really raise each girl to their own, well, hashkafa, but to their own hashkafa. That's a really hard thing to do, but that woman is a hero,
and maintain her relationship with them, and hopefully maintain their relationship with each other.
No, she did. They're really close. Yeah. They're all different, and they're all really close.
Right.
And they're all really close to her. And actually, one time I, like, said something to her, and she said, well, I davened every morning. Is that why? Like, she did. Like, tefillah was a big part. You know why? Because tefillah creates mindfulness.
Right, 100%.
And, like, intentionality.
Right.
And part of motherhood is being really mindful of the things that come out of your mouth to your children. Choosing which fights to pick. Choosing which battles to fight. You know, all of that.
Because
like,
so many, I mean, this happens to me, like, daily. That, like, I'll reflect on, you know, like, an interaction, and, like now when I'm calm and, you know, mindful and intentional, and I'm actually, like, thinking it through, I'm like, if somebody would have called me in that moment, I would have been like, let me advise you on the best way to parent your child in this moment. But like, I didn't even think that. And like, I was just, like, on this autopilot.
No,
you
it's
know?
totally true. So the truth is that tefillah, if you can, and by the way, like, let's say for me, tefillah is opening a siddur and saying shachars. I do think that Hashem is, you know, Melech HaRachaman, and if you're a woman and you can't open your siddur every day, that's okay. You can take, I mean, I don't know if that's okay. I'm not paskening for anybody. I don't know what is okay or what isn't.
It's okay.
But But I think Hashem is Melech HaRachman.
Right.
And if you take a few minutes every day to say, Hashem, I love you.
Right.
Thank you for waking me up this morning.
Right.
Thank you for today. Thank you for whatever I have, children, whatever your situation is. I want to do the best I can with today. I want to grow with you.
Yeah, and it
you
just sets the tone for your day. 100%.
It's just like a meditative state where you can really set the intentions.
Because also, I mean, even we're talking all about, imparting values to our children as if we know what our values are. Like that should have been the first thing. Okay, let's go back to number one.
Rewind.
First thing you need to know, we can't rewind. It's not edited. I was warned. But we have to know what our values are. Yeah. Like a lot of times we... Okay. Like a lot of times...
inside. 1 second.
Okay, sorry. Tio.
By the way, he agrees.
He agrees. Do you agree? Okay.
Agree. He agrees. What about you, Lily?
Take it off.
You agree?
Yeah, so we have to... So sometimes
agrees.
I think we have to... we have to like pause and know what our values are. You know what I'm saying? Right. Sometimes in the moment, it's like, wait, hold on a second. Is this actually something that's important to you and to your family and to your household or is this like what everybody else is going to think kind of a thing? And your kids know the difference. Yeah, they know the difference. Point. And
kids literally know everything.
They know
anything past them. You think that your 4-year-old doesn't realize, but your 4-year-old knows everything.
Okay, my 4-year-old, this is insane. He will be like in a different room.
Yeah.
If I pick up my phone, could be in a different room than him. If I pick up my phone, someone got hit. Yeah. Or like, wait, maybe that was bad. No. Something spilled. Let's do something more generic. We don't hit or bite or anything.
No, absolutely not.
But no, 100%. Like he knows when he doesn't have my complete attention, and he's somebody who like
Arya and Alicia are holding hands.
No, they're slapping 5. They're slapping 5.
Are you giving 5 to the baby?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Arya, you can marry Elisheva, but she has to live in Yerushalayim.
That's totally fine. His grandparents live there. We're all moving there. We'll be there.
You know what? And if they choose together to live in America, it's totally okay because Mim is here.
Those thoughts need to be kept here.
Okay, but you're going to be there too.
I'm going to be there also. No filter here.
Who told you?
There's definitely no filter here.
Who told you?
My head.
There is absolutely a filter. Everybody, you know what? People
my dream is my kids are going to go and then move Texas out one by one, and I'm following them.
You know what?
Yeah, we should never move back.
My kids are, Baruch Hashem, in a better place.
Did you refill your coffee?
Yeah.
Twice.
Tea.
Oh, gosh.
My 3 children are in a better place than I ever hoped for.
Right.
Well,
that's amazing. That's like a dream come true.
How bad were we, Mom?
No, I don't say.
Don't take that.
No. But I know the mistakes I made as a mother raising my children. I know a lot of the mistakes that I made, and I wish I could do them over. But
that's so
I also know all the good values that I've given my children.
Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem.
And you have to feel good about that.
I also think that like having that foundation of unconditional love and acceptance, it's like, that bank account analogy of like, there's more room for mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah.
If your kids, like, that's your baseline. It's like, I picture it almost like a bungee cord, like you can make mistakes, but you will always return back to whatever your base is. And if your base is love and acceptance and, just that warmth.
I just think, like, one time I heard somebody say this, like, would you say that to your neighbor? Like, literally sometimes I say things to my kids and I'm like, I would never say this to another human being.
Right.
Ever. Like, right?
Yeah.
And like, so that's your
And if somebody would say it to me, I would be like, we are done.
We're done. Yeah. Like, don't speak to me like that. Like, your children need to be spoken to and treated with respect. Right.
Like somebody once sent me something like, even kids don't want to be treated like children.
That's true.
So yeah, I think that's really we all of those same, v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, all of those same parameters do apply to our children. Onas devarim. Onas devarim people.
No, it's true. It's a real thing.
You can't be cruel.
This is why I really wanted, like, all 3 of us are mothers. All 3 of us are doing the best we can. We're all very growthful people.
I'm done.
Learn. You're not done. That's the thing, is that you're not done. Baruch Hashem. Your job is never done as a mother. Right. And I think, like, I go to Rebbe Spentner every week. You, like, definitely go to tons of shows. I don't even know. Like, you're just so knowledgeable. And the thing is that like none of us are experts. I mean, there's a few experts out there, but like most of us are not the children of experts.
Well, one of the best lines I ever heard from somebody who gives parenting classes was, I don't give these classes because I was like born a better mother. I just made tons of mistakes, and now like I'm going to share them with all of you in the hopes that you don't repeat all of them.
I mean, I think that's it. And I think like, I don't know. I think it's hard. It's hard to be a mother, and it's hard to impart values. And
no one tells you how hard it is.
No, it's hard to watch your
mothers who came before me. Why didn't you tell me how hard it was going to be?
Also, I know for me, I mean, my mother was an amazing, wonderful, warm mother. She definitely made a lot of mistakes that I tried not to repeat.
Baby, yeah.
But I also know she did the best that she knew how to do at that time.
Right.
And that I appreciate.
I think that's something, though, that comes when you're a mother.
Oh, for sure.
Like you become a mother, and then you realize, like, oh my gosh, my mother was amazing. Right. She put up with me.
Right. No, there are so many times where I think, I don't remember my parents ever reacting to that type of thing. And somehow, like, or like even as a teacher, I remember as a student thinking, like, well, when I'm a teacher, I'm going to let my students talk in class.
I know. Oh my gosh.
It happens to be any of my students listening, like, I really don't care so much if they talk. Like, it happens to not bother me so much.
I do wish we had Instagram, and I do wish that I knew Danielle when my kids were babies. We were young. I do. I really do.
You did know Danielle when your kids were babies.
Right. That's true.
But I didn't, know her insights. I didn't have her.
No,
I also find, like, as my kids get older,
insight.
And I think everybody appreciates different phases of motherhood. Like, I think I've spoken about this, and I'll be very honest about it. Like, I was petrified to have my first kid. Like, I think my husband did not know what to do with me. I was like, I'm like, what if I don't like them?
I was
like, how do you not love your children? I'm like, no, I will love them, I'm sure. But like, what if I don't like them? What if I can't do this? What if like it was just really and with I think in my 20s, the infant stage, the toddler stage was like excruciating for me. It was not. And now that I don't know if it's age or the fact that I have some older kids that are like really like such thoughtful people. I don't know where they get it from.
I do.
And they just have like such great personalities and such interesting things to say. Like, I wish they could have their own Instagram just because they really are my biggest teachers. I find so much more joy in motherhood now. And I think that for anybody who's listening who is in a stage that they're finding currently difficult, I think like it can be really, really, really hard to get through it without thinking, oh, this is something that I just need to get through. Like that for me is like a struggle, not to feel like
endless.
Yeah. Like sometimes I just want to like move quickly through it, and I'm like, no, this has a purpose. And being mindful about it. I think it is easier now that I have kids at different ages and stages because I get like like satisfaction from different places. But there really is value in every stage, and our kids do need us at every stage, even if it doesn't like feel the most natural to us, I think is my point. That you can be a really good, like I was afraid that I was not going to be a good mother because I'm not like a nurturing, like I made cookies yesterday, but like the frozen kind from the box. Like I'm not a baker. I'm not like, Danielle said
I can't make Duncan Hines. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a baker. It's hard for me to like get on the floor and be like present with my kids like at that younger stage. That's hard for me. And I think that like that's okay because my kids need me to be me. You know what I mean? And I think there always is a way to meet their needs in a way that doesn't like fully negate your own. I mean, sometimes it compromises your own, but it doesn't.
Reverend Spencer always says, like, if you're spending quality time with your children, it needs to be mutually satisfactory, mutually beneficial. Like, to sit and color on the floor with a 5-year-old, if you hate coloring, nobody is benefiting from that.
Exactly.
She's not, and you're not. Like, you need to find a common ground. And sometimes it's hard. Honestly, like, I have one child. It's hard for me to find similar interests with this child because we are very, very different.
Yeah,
I'm
I have to
very artistic, and I like to color and paint. And you know what? It was difficult for me and my mother because my mother loves dolls and dresses.
Well, I never had one, but my mother would every year come home from Paris. Like she would go
to Paris, and she would bring me home a doll, and literally I never touched it.
Yeah.
And all I wanted for Hanukkah,
collections.
All I wanted for Hanukkah was like easy bake ovens.
I was just gonna say easy bake ovens.
No, easy bake ovens and spin art and all those like arts and crafts sets. And she was very good. She got me those, but like she didn't want to sit and do those.
Right.
She wanted to go
I'm not going to tell you what she did with the Barbies.
Yeah. Like I'm a terrible storyteller,
which
which is funny because like I'm a teacher, so I do sort of talk a lot. But like when my kids say, like, "Can you tell me a story from your head?" But literally this is a story. Once upon a time, there was a girl, and she asked her mother, "Please, can you tell me a story?" And her mother said, "I can't. I just don't have any stories. I'm not creative." And she said, "Please, please, please." And her mother said, "Fine." Once upon a time, there was a girl, and we go until they like catch on, and they're like, "That's the worst story ever." And like, I'm not good at the dress up, the pretend play.
But you find things that you are good at that they are interested in, and that's the best kind of quality time, because then you're enjoying the time and they're enjoying the time, and it's like it just keeps you feed off each other, and it's exponential.
Exactly.
It's true.
It's amazing. I think like these. I don't know. Being a mother is like super duper hard. Sometimes.
Seriously.
It really
Why is there no salary? It's like being a co-host.
Why, I'm not getting a salary?
I think hopefully the salary is like nachas and your children, and which, by the way, is something you have to work on. Like every night you need to go to bed and you need to go through your children and you need to think of something good they did that day or something that made you smile.
I think you need to create your own nachas. We also have this notion.
I love that. Create your own nachas.
Yeah, we also have this notion that like nachas is like we're entitled to it.
I know.
Like, wait, that's like a perk if you get some.
But that's like, by the way, I feel that about hobbies. Like one of my kids, like, whatever, is not so great at this, not so great at this. I'm like, so what? You are not defined by a hobby. Not everybody is an excellent artist or an excellent pianist or has a beautiful voice or is very athletic or very this. Like, you're also can be just you. Like, not everybody has a crazy, unbelievable, mind-blowing talent, but like, you're you. So that's amazing. Like, find the things that you love. Do the things you love. It's so hard.
I so relate to that because I'm not like classically like I can't sing. It's like sad. It's sad. I can't sing or dance or like paint or like anything artistic. Like I can barely take a picture. Like it's like I'm not those things that we consider like talented. I'm not talented like that. So I have one kid who also keeps trying guitar, trying this, trying that. As a child,
you could be defined by that lack of talent, and there's no reason for that. Like just our world today created that notion. We have covered so many times.
Oh my gosh, I don't even remember. Were there any questions?
There were questions, but I think we covered most of them. I tried to get us back to them.
Okay.
A lot of them were like, what does it mean to live by example, and to what extent? Like that was one of the biggest questions. Like, to what extent do I need to?
Well, I also, just on that note, I would also say, like, sometimes we think, oh, I'm going to act a certain way in front of my kids, and then I'm going to act differently when they're not around, and it's fine because they won't see.
Right.
So going back to kids knowing everything, I think they can tell what to us is meaningful to us and really like is like defining of who we are as a person, and what's just like us putting on a show.
Yeah, it's true. I think that. Oh my gosh, he is so cute.
He is.
You want to be on the podcast? Say hi.
A big part of what our kids see is how we treat other people that are not them, and.
I got a clap. You got a clap.
I know, finally.
I'm waiting for mine.
Oh, man.
We've been clapping for a long time.
No, and I think that how we treat, like, the mailman or the person that's coming to pick up a package that you're being delivered, or how you treat your own parents or how you treat your siblings is also like a big part of the modeling that, kids pick up on.
And I would say that part of the modeling also isn't just the end result, it's also the process.
Yes.
So we think that we have to always control ourselves in front of our kids, and definitely like maintaining control is important. But I think it's okay. Exactly. I know that I do this all the time with my kids. Like, I'll say, like, I'm upset.
Right. Bring them through the
my
process.
voice gets really, really calm. I heard one of my kids
that's amazing.
Yeah, and my kids tell their friends, like, if I get really quiet, they're like, okay, everybody back away. I'm like, I just need to breathe.
Yeah.
I even hear it in my own voice when my voice gets like that.
No, it's true. And
I tell them, like, I'm really upset, and I'm not going to answer right now, or even about something else happened, like this happened today, and it really, really bothered me, and it took me a while to calm down, and I made a mistake mistake in the process or whatever it was. And like now I'm back to I think that like showing them the process of that is really important, because otherwise they only see like the result of it. Like you always have to be calm.
But how did you get there? Right. How did you get to that place? Because everybody has an initial reaction.
Right.
How do you deal with that initial reaction?
Right.
How do you do with it? And then how do you respond?
Exactly.
Being honest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right,
Being honest and teaching your children that this is honesty. I am feeling that way, and that's okay, because you may feel that way sometimes.
Right,
you may feel upset sometimes, and I'm allowed to also feel upset.
one daughter who's extremely sensitive, but the most loving human being you've ever met in your life. Like,
sensitive kids feel everything strongly.
she'll walk over to you and she'll literally walk up to you and she'll be like, oh, I just love you with all of my heart and everything. I love you. And literally she'll do and she means it. Like you see it in her body. But then if you say to her, I'm so sorry, you can't have a cookie right now, she'll like, literally hysterical cry, you don't love me. Right. You don't love me. And I sometimes will have to say to her, you feel like I don't love you because you have very strong feelings. I really do love you, and my love is not attached to the cookie. Right. So I'm not letting you have the cookie, which probably I would let her have the cookie. I just couldn't think of a random thing. But I'm not letting you have the cookie, and I still love you.
Right, exactly. It's the and, not the but.
Yes. So literally, I have tried. I eliminated but from my vocabulary.
Me too.
It is the worst
It's the worst word.
But it negates everything that came before. It never, ever adds value.
I say that all the time.
It negates everything. I'm so happy, but no. I'm so happy.
You tell your husband, like, thank you for doing that, but like, no, then you just took all the appreciation.
That was your favorite word.
What?
With any discussion with your father and I. That was your
Mom, that was like 15 years ago.
But thank God it's out. Thank God. I'm happy for Ellie.
No, it's true though. It really is an awful word because it doesn't. I just said because. Right now.
That's okay. You said
no, it's not a good word because it really does negate everything that came before it to the other person.
And I think that's of going back to what we said even earlier. That's what implies to our children that you can only be feeling one thing at one time.
Exactly.
I can be grateful and also wish that XYZ. I can be happy.
I can really love you a lot now and be a little bit disappointed in your behavior.
100%. Yeah.
I could not like your actions.
Right.
But I love you.
I can like your actions and love you.
I could love you.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
No, and you know what? By the way, that's not even just exclusive to your children. Like, imagine if you approached your marriage that way. Like, your husband gave you a really ugly ring, which never happened to me. No, it actually didn't. Like, that's why I'm like safely using that example. Like, thank you so much for buying me this ring, but I really don't like it. Ouch.
Right.
That literally can make somebody feel like garbage. I really like this ring, and I think I want to go and look and see if there's a different one.
If there's something I like better.
Like, just the difference in those two sentences.
Exactly. Like, he gets all the credit for buying you the gift.
And you're amazing.
And
he doesn't really care whether
he really does not care.
Like,
Well, you're talking about a husband, and I'm going to just tell you something.
I will say this: my mother is the best. She's an amazing wife because she's Moroccan, and it's like in her blood. And my father's an amazing father, and their roles are very separate but defined. And, different roles, but each role is valued.
But we're very much there for one another.
No, you are.
Yeah,
and I'm going to tell you that the one thing I hope that I've instilled in you and other young women is that you get married, you have children, and you're very busy. Your lives are extremely busy, especially you with the blogging and the kids and everything else. But there's one relationship that is going to stick with you for the rest of your life, and it's a show to 120.
Like, this is 2019. When I go to Israel, I don't leave you.
No, I'm talking about your husband.
I know what you're saying. It's the one relationship. Your relationship.
The one relationship.
I'm hiring her to teach my college.
Your husband is your husband because you tend to forget to give each other the amount of attention that you should be giving each other.
By the way, that's so accurate.
100%. 100%.
And it's like a triangle. You start off, you're very busy with so many things, but at the end, and yet Hashem, your children
you're
get
not
married.
So busy. Oh my gosh.
And they have, your children get married and they have their lives. And you're left with this guy or woman.
You can't turn into strangers.
And
you have to.
My husband and I had a rule. Even if we were very angry with each other, we went on one date a week.
A week?
One date a week.
I know. How
alone.
How have I?
No, but you have to. You have to. And the date.
Are you listening?
It could be
He's totally
pizza.
not listening.
No, you have to.
Right.
You have to. You can, because you find time for other things, and that is more important than anything else.
And you can turn regular things into.
I'm actually not so good at that.
But that's not good.
I know I could.
That's not good. That's not good. That's not good.
And we don't live in the same country,
and
so.
it doesn't matter. And
difficult.
Find a way, Danielle.
And Motzei Shabbos, every Motzei Shabbos, after the kids were put to bed, and if we had a babysitter, my husband and I would go in a car, drive around for a half hour alone.
Wait, so that's 2 dates a week?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Even for a half hour after spending a whole Shabbos with the kids and the cooking and the cleaning and the...
It's true. You should know that an entire Shabbos could go without like an actual private 20-minute conversation.
Yeah, a conversation.
Totally. Shabbos, it's crazy.
And every Motzei Shabbos, to this day, you see, Dad and I, well, we go into our bedroom now, but we used to just get in the car and go. And I tell that to so many young couples getting married. You're going to end your life with just your husband.
Right. You can't put the relationship on hold and say, we'll come back to it in 30 years.
Exactly. No, you can't do that and expect that it's still going to be there.
You need to nurture it.
Unfortunately, like people, it's very important.
And it really is,
very
like
important.
if you're a 2-parent household, then it really is that relationship really is fundamental to your parenting.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's I think that's part of the modeling that, our kids really need to see.
And how you treat each other.
Right.
On a most basic level.
Yeah.
Because it is easiest sometimes to forget to treat the people that we know will love and accept us the nicest, because we know they'll love and accept us no matter what. Right. So it's very easy to let go at those times. And those are the hardest times to work on.
I think it was very important for me to teach my children that I love their father more than anything else in the world. Yeah. Like he is, because without him, I wouldn't have my children.
Right.
So Baruch Hashem. Yeah. Baruch Hashem. It's very important.
So it's all thanks to Puppy, really. That's what you're saying. It's all Dad. We have Dad to thank for everything.
He married the Moroccan girl, honey. He married the Moroccan girl.
He's
very smart.
Clearly.
He's very smart, but obviously I have some smarts in me because I did know to marry this guy.
Yeah, you said yes when he asked.
Baruch Hashem.
Thank God. Baruch Hashem. Yeah. Okay, this has been really amazing. We're going to have to do part 2, marriage advice.
The co-host could fly solo for that.
Do you have anything? Any last words, Shevi?
This didn't come up, but I just want to throw it in. I know not everybody agrees on this. Okay. I personally feel very strongly about apologizing to children in terms of conveying values. I think that we won't always make the right choice when it comes to interacting with our children, and I think them seeing that we can take a mistake and work to rectify it and fix it to the best of our ability. I think that that's not only important in our relationship with them, but it's an important life skill and value. And I think that they need to know that life and relationships are not this all or nothing. Right? That life is a series of choices, and just because you chose one thing doesn't mean that your next choice needs to be the logical follow. Exactly. It can be something else that you can always change directions, and you can always make a better choice. And I think apologizing is crucial in that.
I agree with that. And apologizing is a big life skill because it's important to
and don't apologize in a way that puts it on them. I'm sorry I yelled at you, but you were really driving me.
Also, sometimes an apology doesn't have to include the word sorry. And apologizing to be, you know what, I made a mistake.
Right, exactly.
I didn't have to say it like that. Or I didn't have to react that way.
Right, exactly. You didn't deserve that.
An apology can look like a lot of things. It could just be a recognition of
because we all want our kids to take responsibility.
You just can't
so we need to show
it. You cannot over apologize.
No, I hear what you're saying. It's true.
It's not. No, it's not that you can't over apologize. It's that you need to think more before you speak, and then therefore you'll have less to apologize for. To your
that
children.
Would be nice,
you need to back it up a little.
Right, exactly. I really think it goes to this point of responsibility. All of this, how do we convey our values to our children? We want our children to make the best choices. We want our children to, choose a lifestyle that reflects, those important values, Torah values specifically. And I think that really goes back to responsibility. And we want them to take responsibility.
Yeah.
But we need to show them how.
Exactly.
We can't expect our kids to do something that we're not willing to do.
Yeah, 100%.
So
amazing. Okay, Chevy, this was so fun.
So fun.
Thank you for being here. Mom,
really
thank
great.
you for being an awesome co-host.
Am I fired?
It's undecided. They'll have to come back for episode 2 to find out.
I'm going to ask that question on my Instagram. Could you help me?
I need to post on it. You have to post. Do you post on Instagram?
No. Have you seen her Instagram? Nobody, but she clearly is posting
I think
her
I
own
follow
things.
her. I don't know. I have to see.
Well, but we do. She wants
Sure
to
I
post
do.
her vegetables today, so she needs help with that.
Okay.
That's
Well,
like an
Aryeh ate all
intentional
of them.
Yeah.
But I want to post a question. Should I stay
Should you
co-host?
remain the co-host?
That's
Should I
not up to
remain-
you. I'll ask the question.
Well, I'm
on
going to ask my 5,000 something followers.
Ooh.
5,000
Is that
followers?
weird?
Mom.
Wow, I'm clapping for you. Now you
Yes.
can clap.
Over 50,000.
Because everybody loves you.
But I don't even know what I'm doing.
You're doing great. Whatever it is, it's
Yeah.
working. So keep
Yeah.
on trucking, Mom. Okay. We love you guys. Thank you all so much for listening and being here. I'm so happy to be back with season 2. I hope that this new format was good for everybody. And of course, DM me, DM Chevy. If you have anything, definitely DM my mom. Oh, it's a learning life. DM Chevy and it's a learning life.
But
DM
only if you want
Mehmet
to. Like, I don't want
right? No, if they
coercing
want to.
followers. Yeah.
No.
I don't know how to answer.
Well, if they have questions,
Like
that's
if without
okay. I'll teach you. If you want to say something nice to Mehmet, please don't expect anything in return. But you can always shoot her a nice message.
Yes.
love that.
She loves that. At Mehmet Light Mom. And you can, of course, ask me anything. We love feedback, and I love to hear what you say. And we would love for you to be part of the conversation.
I would love
yeah.
if people who disagree could tell
Yes,
us.
please be part of the conversation, and if we have to do another one, we will.
I mean, look.
So
The people
it's
insist.
just more reason for us to hang out together. So I'm happy to do that. Thank you so much for being here. We need to give a big, huge shout out to our guest stars of the day, Aryeh and Elisheva, for being super cute and cooperating.
We'll invite you to the wedding.
You'll all be invited, please God. And this was awesome. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye.